A little over a week ago, I was doing my usual Twitter bullshit and somehow ended up talking about where G5 characters would rank on the hypothetical MLP THICC-o-meter, and then I thought, hey, what if the THICC-o-meter wasn't hypothetical? By the way, you should follow Dude52 on Twitter, he tweets good. Anyways, yeah, that little thing inspired me to conduct a survey to determine once and for all which member of the main six is the most thick. The results of this survey are a combination of math, science, logic, and most importantly, common consensus. After all, thick is subjective. When I say thick, it can conjure different images in people's heads, from the voluptuous curves of Kim Kardashian to the unwavering sexiness of Honey Boo Boo's mom. So whatever you envision the pinnacle of thickness to be, just know that this scale is not specific to certain body shapes. It just allows for you to interpolate based on your interpretations of maximum and minimum thick. Do I sound boring yet? Well, tough shit, because now we gotta talk about math. 1,200 people responded to the survey, which, by the way, is really fucking wild. Thank you all so much. Hopefully we can do more shit like this in the future. Anyways, yeah, 1,200 people ranked every main six character from most thick to least thick. I didn't want to use majority voting, aka asking you guys who the most thick was only, because I wanted to get the full scope of your opinions as fast as possible. We would have had to use multiple rounds of majority voting to hypothetically get the same results, and that would have been a chore. So instead, we're using a voting method called Borda count. This is how it works. Every participant in the survey ranks each main six member from most to least thick. Then, depending on their placement, each character will be awarded thick girl points. Most thick equals 6, second most equals 5, so on and so forth. The least, of course, is 1. Of course, just because the mayor has more thick girl points in a higher rank than another doesn't mean she wins by default. Lower ranking characters can still pull through if they manage to get an accumulative score of points in lower places. What this basically means is that, hypothetically, if a character has the most first place votes, they can still lose and lose hard. I'll explain more as we go, but I think it's about time we jump into our ranking, eh? So let's start off with our number 6 spot. Yep, our least thick mayor is Rainbow Don't Have an Ass Dash with an overall score of 2,916 thick girl points, which is pathetic. I know that 2,916 may seem like a lot, but let's not forget that 1,200 people took the survey. That's 1,200 opportunities for each voter to have given 6 points to a mayor. Let's say, hypothetically, every single person voted one character as the most thick. This would mean that the max amount a mayor can receive is 7,200 points, the minimum of course being 1 point per person, aka 1,200. So by dividing Rainbow Dash's thick girl points by our maximum value, we get her absolute percentage, as I'm calling it, of 28.6%. Meaning she's 28.6% of the way to achieving your maximum limit of thickness. And if my math seems a little off to you, after all, 2,619 out of 7,200 should be about 40%, that's also where you're wrong. Remember, the minimum amount of points a voter could have given is 1. To get accurate percentages, we have to subtract 1,200 from the numerator and denominator. This also means that to gauge what RD looks like compared to the average mayor and get our relative percentage, we have to do some more basic algebra. Our maximum, 72,000, minus 12,000, plus our minimum, which is 0, equals 6,000. Divide by 2 and we have our mean of 3,000. The average most standard mayor body is 3,000 thick girl points. So take RD's score minus our minimum minus our mean all over our mean times 100 plus 100, and we got RD's relative percentage of 57.2%. I could have just multiplied by 2. Okay, I swear, that was the last of me explaining the math. All you need to know is that absolute percentage is compared to the maximum, and relative percentage is compared to the average. That said, RD is still 43% less thick than the average, which is all around the lowest score by far. I'm honestly pretty shocked, since personally, this is the only one I got wrong. I mixed her up with the pony in 5th place. Now, if you look at her graph, you can see that it's incredibly skewed left. She didn't even stand a chance at reaching 5th place. And why is that? Well, for my justification, I'm turning to you guys. The reasons for why Dash should be higher on the list are few and far between, but one of the reasons I actually like most placed her in 1st place due to the nature of her work. You know, prior to her joining the Wonderbolts, we all know that Rainbow Dash was the leader of weather control in Ponyville, a job that involves kicking clouds. You could argue that it's pretty much the equivalent of tree bucking, or really any other exercise that beef up the gastrocnemius, bicep femoris, and most importantly, the glutes. But I'm not Matt Pat, I'm a dick, and I'm not about to scientifically break down why your headcanon is wrong. I have other people's opinions to do that for me. Most people's stance on Rainbow Dash's body type is that she's toned or athletic, like members of track and field, all for the purposes of staying aerodynamic. Some people, still ranking her between 5 and 6 mind you, say that she doesn't skip leg day, but I'd like to contest that, because Rainbow Dash is always flying. I think it's safe to say that when she takes off, most of that strength is coming from her wings, and she's able to accelerate so quickly because of her overall lack of drag resistance. Like Mama always said, no ass, go fast! Anyways, yeah, Rainbow Dash has a flank as flat as her personality, personality, go figure. Now we're getting into the characters with significantly more thunder they be packing. That said, our number 5 spot shall be going to... Alright, now we're getting into the upsets. Fluttershy came in 5th place with a score of 3,869 thick girl points. That's an absolute percentage of 45% and a relative percentage of 89%. Funny thing is, she actually has a fairly substantial number of first place votes. If we were using majority voting instead of board accounts, Flutz would have come in 3rd place. It still wouldn't have been close competition, but we're not evaluating her on that scale. Apologies to the 530 of you that thought Flutz had a butt worth talking about, but to be fair, you guys did make some good points. The one comment that gave Flutz the most thick and another comment that placed her in 2nd place described her as having mommy vibes, which I get. Others used her soft personality to justify her having a soft physique, though one reason I really liked for why she could be in 3rd place is how she's a Pegasus pony with an Earth pony lifestyle. This is further elaborated by people that placed her into 4th place that describe her life as sedentary. Yeah, she does work with animals, but it's not the same as AJ's profession. She does animal wrangling. Flutz does animal care and thus probably doesn't have to physically exert herself as much. This reasoning actually puts Flutz and Twilight on similar playing ground, but one of the reasons Flutz was ranked lower is because of what she consumes. Everyone has this impression of Flutz being healthy, or at least having a healthier diet than most ponies. She lives isolated on the edge of the Everfree forest with all of her animals, so going into town to get baked goods or processed foods would be a hassle, right? In fact, more than twice, I saw people that thought Fluttershy fed her animals more than herself, which I wouldn't put past her doing pre-season 7. Some people said Flutz gives off mommy vibes, but I think it's more accurate to say that she has flat ass energy, or as one comment called her, a flat fuck. A little harsh, but I like the alliteration. Flat fuck Fluttershy, flat fuck. That's a good tongue twister. So TLDR, Fluttershy's a skinny bitch whose ass is flat, but not as flat as RD's. Any questions? No? Good. Moving on.
My pussy be yanking, got this nigga feeling hypnotized. Close your eyes, hold my thighs, nigga enjoy this ride. I see that Magnum rapper, nigga, that's the perfect size. And you can get it whenever, ain't gotta fantasize.
Really? Wow, I'm stunned. Not that Twilight is 4th, I fucking called that shit. But I'm shocked at how close her and Fluttershy are. While Flutz got 3,869, Twilight got 3,878, a 9-point difference. Absolute percentage and relative percentage, like Fluttershy, are about 45 and 89 respectively. Frankly, I thought Twi would have been higher. Not curvy or anything, but certainly fattish given how she has an even more sedentary lifestyle than Fluttershy in addition to a likely unhealthier diet. In fact, if we look at their graphs, you can see that less people picked Fluttershy for the number 4 spot than number 3 and number 5, so she just sort of averaged out to a middling score. Meanwhile, 4th place was almost what most people picked for Twilight. Why? Well, let's check the extremes. People who ranked her 5th attributed it to her overall lack of exercise to beef up any muscles, as well as her alicornishness her alicornishness speeding up the old metabolism. However, conversely, you have people that claim Twilight to be the thickest or 2nd most thick because she's an alicorn. Most people often defer to Celestia, and I mean, can you blame them? I'm not saying Selly here is the epitome of ass or anything, but these are literally the cheeks that raise and lower the sun. Surely her ass's gravitational pull should be greater, if not more, than the star itself to accomplish such a feat. It's quite a philosophical question, no? If alicorns are the embodiment of the perfect pony form, does that make their asses bigger or smaller? I'm not sure, but one thing I am very certain about is that everybody really thinks Twilight loves Hayburgers. Like, I get it, she ate there that one time, quite voraciously I'll add, but I don't think she eats there every day, guys. She literally said in that episode she didn't realize how hungry she was. I'm calling bullshit, but I'll let it slide because I don't want to make 245 people mad at me. And hey, at least Twilight's eating habits are healthier than our 3rd place pony. You know who she is. Rarity is an interesting case too. Not because of replacement or anything, I fucking called that too. Look at me. I'm more so baffled at the shape of her graph. Just look at it. It's damn near perfectly symmetrical. The difference between people that voted her most thick and least thick was just 30. Between 2nd and 5th, it was only 1, and between 3rd and 4th, it was 3. Remember how the average mare has 3,000 thick girl points and an absolute percentage of 50%? Well, Rarity has 4,125 thick girl points and an absolute percentage of about 49%. Her relative percentage is 97.4%. 99.5%, which is unbelievably close to a perfectly average score of 100. And you know, that makes total sense to me. It seems that there's nearly equal evidence that ranks her really, really high and really, really low. On the high end of the spectrum, you have people that evaluate Rarity's model as that of a model fashionista, a thick in all the right places kind of gal that just can't help but be the living embodiment of sexiness. What the fuck am I doing? Then again, you also have people on the high end of the spectrum that take into account the amount of stress she's typically under, given how dramatic she is. That stress compounds into weight gain, and in addition to her go-to comfort eating of literal pints of ice cream, she's bound to be rather fat. But, then you have people that extended the logic of her being beautiful in the opposite direction. I didn't actually see any comments explaining why she might be the least thick. However, justification for her being 4th or 5th makes some assumptions that her diet is good or that she exercises, like by doing yoga. I don't think that's true, at least not the exercising part. She doesn't seem like the type to want to get all sweaty. However, we do know that Rarity is a fussy/prissy eater, so that logic can translate into her knowingly watching her calories. Either way, Rarity's rocking an almost perfectly average amount of thickness. And, you know, surprised as I may be, I'm actually comfortable with her placement. Because these next two mares, they put the double ass in assassinating the competition. Have you guys noticed something about all the other mares so far? Yeah, their relative percentage has been consistently lower than the average, never exceeding 100%. These two though, the eternal Applebucker AJ and the ever wonderful Ponk, they have relative percentages that are over 120%. No matter what voting method we use, the other characters never stood a chance against these two. But who, between these two, stands more of a chance? AJ. You know what the A stands for? Ass. You know what the J stands for? Juicy. You guys went after AJ's ass like a tall glass of cider. I don't think I've ever seen more thirsty comments in my life. And it's very simple reasoning, right? She's a country girl that not only has a voracious appetite, but also consistently does intense farm work. Lifting heavy objects, obviously. That's a surefire way of getting your glutes more well pronounced. However, a lot of people are under the impression that apple bucking is an efficient leg strengthening exercise. I find this notion suspect in real life, considering that your legs would be in the air and not really carrying any weight, thus not building up any significant muscle. However, this is clearly not the case in Equestria. AJ, especially in the later seasons, was strong. She was shown to be able to buck through solid brick in Sparkle 7, and even push away a boulder way bigger than her in Shadowplay. Anyone with the audacity to give their legs nicknames better have the receipts to prove they deserve them, and Applejack has receipts in surplus. These are not apple buckers. These are skull crushers. A single glance at these thighs would make you so insecure you'd physically vomit out all the testosterone in your body. But on the other hand, Ponk and the big old badonkadonk. Common consensus dictates that this is one thick pony, entirely due to her diet consisting of sugar and sugar and sugar. Now, I don't mean to bring the mood down, but it must be addressed that in the Friends Forever comic issue 21, Pinky claims that she has a hypermetabolism. But I don't give a fuck. There is still no way Pinky is at the bottom, even with a reality warping digestive system. Pinky eats unhealthy shit, and a lot of it. She literally always has an excess of energy because of the sugar she's ingesting, the calories she's converting, and whatever mental illness decides to plague her that day. Any way you slice it, the overwhelming majority of comments rank her extremely high. I only saw like 3 comments that ranked her in 5th. Everyone else was calling 1st or 2nd. But Quantum, I hear you asking, we all want to know, which main 6 is the most thick? Alright, fine. I gotcha. Let's work our way up with a quick recap. In 6th place, with a score of 2,916 thick girl points, is Rainbow Dash. In 5th place, with a score of 3,869 points, is Fluttershy. In 4th place, scoring 3,878 points, is Twilight. In 3rd place, with 4,125 points, is Rarity. In 2nd place, with a total score of 5,047, an absolute percentage of 64%, and a relative percentage of 128%, is Applejack. Meaning that in 1st place, with 5,365 points to her name, an absolute percentage of 69%, nice, and a relative percentage of 138%, is Pinkamena Dadass Pie. Look at these graphs, guys. AJ, for starters, I wish you could have seen hers grow in real time. The survey was basically divided in half since most of you guys weren't notified until my last video. She was maxing out in second place for a while, and then all of a sudden, in the second half, we got an influx of people that ranked her in first. However, despite this, not once did I think she was going to surpass Pinky. Her graph is basically the exact opposite of Rainbow Dash's. First place was pretty much on lockdown for her from the start. And if you don't believe me, you can check for yourself. Below this video, there's a link to a spreadsheet with all the votes, as well as a PDF containing all the comments I used to collect data for this video. And, in case you're curious, out of the 1,200 people that took the survey, only 20 were correct. Artist, take note. If you don't have a set headcanon for how thick you want to draw the main six and you want to please as many people as possible, then these are the metrics you should follow. Thank you all so much for participating in the survey, and just for watching this video. I'm sure this is a very important question that several people have asked themselves many times. You know, I say that as a joke, but I'm sure it's true. If you enjoyed this video, get help.
Don't look so surprised to find me here. I've been waiting for you.
What?
You've been smoking again. After you told me you'd given it up? Stony Pony, I told you! Either the weed goes, or I go!
Dude, are we talking horses?